Hello, my name is Geogen and welcome back to Armoured Warfare. As requested from one of you commenters, I have some T-80U gameplay. Now the T-80 used to be tier 7, the original has now been dropped to tier 5 and 2 have replaced the Void at tier 6 and 7. So this is the tier 7 replacement, the T-80B, which is also in this match, is the tier 6. Now, what this tank has going for it is very good mobility, traverse of the tracks especially is very good, a strong 125mm, but very bad side and rear armour. The turret armour, as you're going to see in this match however, is pretty good. Now this took me by surprise. I didn't realise that skirmish mode also included PvE maps such as Cerberus, and this is what we're playing on. Which is a nice change to just playing pipelines constantly on the skirmish game mode. Anyway, skirmish game mode, if you don't realise, is a PvP mode but on smaller maps. So for instance, pipelines is cut in half, and Cerberus here is a PvE map which is already quite small. It's one of the older ones as well. So 2 good shots there into the T-80U on the opposing team, and we missed our second shot of opportunity into the Chieftain Mark 10. Chieftain Mark 10 is basically what the Chieftain 5 used to be. They still have very bad sidearm. Now this guy here in the Merkava is another tier 7 MBT, but they are a pain in the arse to deal with unless you get their side armour. Their lower plate is also quite big, but isn't as weak as you might expect. He also has a T-80B helping. We get hit in the front plate somewhere from the Merkava. We take 5 from the right hand side. He's pushing us quite hard. He has a 3-round autoloader, as you may well know. We put a lower plate shot, but it just bounces on the yellow part of the armour there. You can see the lower plate is either red or yellow most of the time. There are ways that you can penetrate it from the front quite easily, including the engine bay, but it depends on the angle. That T-80B is practically the same style of tank as this, as you might expect. Very poor side armour, very good upper plate armour and turret armour. There are weaknesses in the front plate though for both these tanks, and that is the driver's hatch. It's not as prominent as before, I don't think, in 018 and before. So, now the Merkava has resorted to firing ATGMs at me. Now, I had a look after the game what the ATGMs are like in this, or on that tank, and they have 800 penetration, which, you know, is very high. Also, the T-80B manages to hit our cupola, or something, and only does 56 damage. Now that makes me think that this tank doesn't have a manned turret, and is very low to the ground, but at the same time there are commander's cupolas, so I'm not really sure where he hit me. Maybe it was an external part of the armour, which wasn't really that critical to the tank. So, another problem with this tank is it has very poor gun depression because of the fact that it is low to the ground. If you played a T-90, you can see there's a little bit of green armour there, that's where the engine bay is. However, if he angles it just a tad, it's basically an auto bounce area, as you saw there. So yeah, the problem this tank has compared with the T-90, which is another tier 7 MBT, Soviet MBT, Russian, whatever, that tank is slightly higher up in terms of its profile, and therefore its gun depression is slightly better, I believe. Because this tank has very low gun depression, it makes it a little bit difficult to fight on ridges like this, and you have to consistently re-angle the tank when you're trying to find lower plates, for instance, on Merkava 2Ds. Which is, you know, less than ideal. Additionally, his turret armour is very strong, much like mine. Anyway, back to the point of the ATGMs. 800 penetration on those ATGMs, but he has 3 of them in a clip. So if he manages to pen all of them, he can do about 1200 damage, maybe a bit more. However, he's pushed forward way too far now, and we managed to track him. And additionally, those ATGMs are, well, those 2 missed because of the close range and the way he's tracked. And secondly, our turret armour is 700mm thick composite armour, and it's curved, angled, and the like, meaning those ATGMs are going to have a very hard time penetrating us, and I don't think a single one actually penetrated the turret armour. One of them penetrated the tank, sure, but that can be dealt with. We managed to hit that guy in the engine there. You can see because he's tracked, he can't readjust the angle of the engine, and now he's screwed. There we go. And we're up to 4,997 damage done, and 2 more hit points on that T-80U makes it 4,999. So this tank I think is, pretty decent. It has things going for it certainly, but there are better tier 7 alternatives at the moment in 019. I feel the Merkava again is just a very strong all-round tank. Maybe not its side armor as much, and the fact that it has an autoloader means it has weaknesses when it's reloading, obviously, but this tank is pretty solid. The M1A1, again though, I feel it's a better tank overall. Its side armor is better, its gun is generally okay, it's not as strong in terms of damage, but you can see there we managed to block 5,000 odd damage from ATGMs, but that was only due to our turret armor. Our lower plate, our side armor is bad. That's something you have to be wary of. So, there we are, the T-80U. I hope you enjoyed this gameplay, and as always, I've been Geogen, and I'll see you chaps and chapettes in the next one.